What's up, guys? This is going to be a commentary video. I haven't done it in a while, so I figured I'd do this one between my friend Dylan here and myself. We are playing a Vayu Turbo matchup versus the zombie, I think it's Diva zombies. So we decided to use Neuron here to decide who goes first. I believe he wins the coin flip, so he'll be deciding to go first here. So the thing about playing casually is that I know what my opponent is playing. So it's kind of like, okay, well, since I have prior knowledge of what they're playing, I'm gonna play a little bit differently. So having a set card means that it's either a Ryko or a Goblin Zombie set or a Pyramid Turtle. All cards that want to be attacked, essentially. So the question is, I have to weigh my option whether I want to declare an attack on the face down card or I want to just summon a monster and pass. And so if I'm thinking it strategically, if it's a Ryko, and I drew a bunch of traps, I want to be able to preserve my traps. So attacking the Ryko would be the play. If I didn't draw a lot of traps, then I want to summon a monster and just pass because I definitely do not want to have my pair attack into a Pyramid Turtle to enable the zombie player to go off. I'm gonna lower down the volume here because I don't want any copyrights from the surrounding sounds because they were playing copyrighted music. Alright, so I decided to go with Greffer, and then I pitched the Vayu to pitch another Vayu, I believe. This allows the basically if the arm wing were to be destroyed if I bring it out, the subsequent Vayu would be able to bring out the Armor Master from the extra deck. So that was my plan here, I think. Yep. So I did that play. So it looks like I decided to bait out the Ryko here. So I decide to summon the arm wing here. So here I decide to either swing with the Greffer first, so that I proc the Ryko and destroy the arm wing. This way that I follow up with the arm wing, whereas if I attack with the arm wing first, he's gonna think, well, I should destroy the Greffer so I can preserve some life points. So I summon Card Tripper here because I haven't normal summoned yet, and that was a special summon from the Greffer. So I mill 3, hoping to mill something, and I lose my Heavy Storm. So one of the reasons why I don't like Card Tripper is because you could lose power spells, and losing a Heavy Storm to a zombie matchup isn't so bad, but I might lose cards that I might need. So I'm always hesitant to use Card Tripper's ability. So yeah, like I said before, I decided to swing with the Arm Wing. Another reason why you want to swing with the Arm Wing first is because it's the biggest monster on the field. So in the event that he does have a Gores, and that face down card was like a Goblin Zombie, and I swing with the Arm Wing last, he can have a really big Gores token. So it was a Ryko here, and I basically decided to proc the Ryko and have him hesitant to destroy the Arm Wing. Because if he destroys the Arm Wing here, even though it is the biggest monster, my Arm Wing can just float into a Armor Master for the Vayu that I use off the Greffer effect. If I were him, I would destroy the Greffer here. I think he chooses to destroy the Card Tripper here, and I disagree with that because the Card Tripper is going to float, and then I'm going to be able to draw a card. So here the tempo is in my favor. I had the tempo of the board now because now he has no monsters and I have two semi-strong monsters. So now my back rows are basically safe. I can set back rows safely without worrying about a Ryko. I attack with 17 here. Basically trying to proc the Gores here. My guess is I had a back row and I did. So he didn't have a Gores, so that basically solidifies my attacks to the future. So he draws a Pyramid Turtle, and he fans out his graveyard. He looks like he mills a Plague Spreader Zombie off the Ryko. So he can definitely do a Synchro play if I allow him to, and he destroys my back row with a Typhoon. So his Synchro play is safe. But the Synchro play for him would be a Goyo Guardian to steal one of my monsters. A Goyo Guardian stealing my would not be able to steal my Arm Wing, because it was special summon, not synchro summon. So he would have to attack the Greffer if he does decide to do a Goyo play with the Pyramid Turtle. But doing that play, he has to like waste a monster, a card and a card from his hand. So that's two cards that he has to invest to make the Goyo Guardian here. So as a Vayu player, as I've learned, Vayu Turbo player, is that you don't want to like overcommit to the board. because when you overcommit to the board, they can play cards to basically make you lose your whole board. And so in Edison, you kind of want to be reactive rather than proactive. Being reactive is good because if they do a play, you can counteract that play, and then because you have more resource in your available, as opposed to just putting all your chips on the table. That's what I like about Edison, is that it punishes you for putting all the chips on the table, and it rewards you for being reactive. So he decides to summon a Gale here instead of doing the commitment play where he does top deck for Plague, summon the Pyramid Turtle, and make a Goyo Guardian, which is okay, I guess. He just commits one card here to destroy the Armwing, but the Armwing can float into the Armor Master, so that's kind of an issue. So yeah, so the Gale is kind of like subpar here. Him summoning a Gale and not having and not brain controlling or mind controlling leads me to believe that he doesn't have the power spells in his hand to make a play. Because he could have stolen the Greffer with mind control or brain control, and then synchro with the Gale and to make an armor master of his own. So he's thinking about what to do now. I'm deciding while he's thinking on what to do on the next turn. I'm thinking whether I want to make the armor master next turn, and I definitely will. I'm also thinking about what he could possibly foolish at this point. He does have only a Raiko, a Plague engraved, so he could dump a Mizuki here. That's what I would do because Mizuki makes Foolish Burial turn into a special summon one zombie from your graveyard. And he decided to dump a Pyramid Turtle, which is kind of weird to me because Pyramid Turtle doesn't do anything in the graveyard when it's dumped. So my guess is he's doing this because he wants to Book of Life my Vayu. So Book of Life is a really good card against the Vayu Turbo matchup because you can banish all the Vayus, or even my Armwing, so that I can't Synchro Summon from the graveyard. But in this scenario, I would have done the Goblin Zombie because Goblin Zombie would allow me to float, unless he didn't have a Goblin Zombie in grave or in deck. So he activates Book of Life, and he decides to banish my Vayu Turbo, or my Vayu. I'm pretty sure he chooses the Vayu here. Yep. Okay, so now I have 2 Vayus used up, and I only have 1 left. Okay, so I draw for turn. So he has a Pyramid Turtle I have to deal with by not attacking it. So Pyramid Turtle is kind of good in this situation because most of the Vayu pushes rely on attacking, and I don't really have ways to effectively clear monsters by monster effects except for Raiko and Caius. But I didn't draw Caius nor Raiko in this hand. See, so I can see 2 Raikos left in my deck when I fan it out. So he sets a back row, which leads me to believe it's a trap. So if I decide to push with the Armor Master here, if I decided to push with the Armor Master here, I could lose my Armor Master to a trap card. So instead, I think I decided to go to battle phase and attack over the Gale with my Dark Greffer here. There's no reason for me to believe that it's a torrential, and if it is a torrential, he loses more than I do if I decide to summon another monster. So, like summoning the Armwing, summoning the Armor Master was not like a problem for me. It's just that I was worried about a Mirror Force, and I don't think I saw a Mirror Force in his graveyard. I should have checked his graveyard at this point. So I did have Charged Light Brigade, so I have a way to search for the Raiko to deal with the Pyramid Turtle. And I milled Burial, and unfortunately, losing the Burial here was actually pretty big for me. Big against, well, it's not big for me, but it was big against me because now I can't recycle the Vayus that are in my remove from play or my banish, and so I can't continue my plays. So then I basically run out of steam with the Vayu Turbo if since I lost my Burial. So I decided to go to battle phase. I swing with the Gale here, and then the ball's back. The ball's back in his court, whether he wants to use the trap card or not on my Greffer, and he allows it, and he lets it die. So I set the Raiko and I pass here. He draws for turn, and I think he draws a Dark Arm if I'm correct. I also should have checked his graveyard too to see if yeah, see if I procced his Dark Arm, and I did. So the Dark Arm was a big swing for him because not having the Dark Arm means that he has to deal with the Raiko somehow. And that usually means that he has to use Bryanak to deal with the Raiko. Okay, so I have a Necro Gardener to protect me from dying, but I think I decided to take the damage. He has no reason to fear of the Gores because Dark Arm can kill the Gores. And unfortunately, the Vayu Turbo doesn't have Kalut in the main deck. So if I had Kalut in the main deck, I would have been able to run over the Dark Arm with Armor Master, which is why I see the hybrid decks doing really well in this, doing well lately. So he makes a Bryonac here. So the Bryonac play is interesting because anytime he knows that this deck plays hamsters and Rykos, so if I were to set the hamsters and Rykos, he can just simply discard a card and bounce it. And then if he drew a Dark Monster, it would fill up the Dark Arm in the graveyard so that he could basically have more targets to kill with Dark Arm. Or have more targets to banish with Dark Arm. So I'm left with 2 cards in hand and only an Armor Monster in graveyard. So I decided to go into the Bryonac here. With the Armor Master. I think that's the best play because leaving a Bryonac there is not a good thing. And unfortunately, he does have a defensive back row when I decided to declare an attack with Bryonac onto the Bryonac. I think he has a Book of Moon, if I remember correctly. And that's unfortunate for me because now I'm in a really bad position because now he has a Bryonac, and even though he's top decking, he does have really strong monsters. So I decided to set 2 bluffs. It's actually not bluffs. One of them is a bottomless trap hole. So I want to make sure that he fears attacking into a Mirror Force because I don't have a Mirror Force in my graveyard. And if he top decks a Dark Monster, it would be really bad for me because he can just bounce 1 back row and then destroy the other with Dark Arm. So he decides to get rid of the Armor Master. He puts the Bryonac to defense mode. He attacks with Dark Arm. With only 2750 life points, I decided to Necro Gardener here to protect myself. So I'm hoping to top deck something. I don't have any more resources. I basically lost all my Vayus in this game, so I had to figure out some other way. What I top deck was actually a Sirocco, and if I had not done the Armor Master play, my Sirocco and the Armor Master would have been a 4500 attack monster. But he had the Book of Moon anyway, so it really didn't matter too much. I pretty much summoned the Sirocco here, and then attack over the Bryo, but I still don't have ways to kill the Dark Arm. I think I was relying on top decking a Dark Arm to get out of the situation, but I think I had too many Darks in my graveyard. So I think about it for a while. I think I'm going to skip to the part where I summon Sirocco here. I think a lot because I'm thinking about what I can top deck. It looks like I do a play. I summon Sirocco here. I destroy the Bryonac, and he has no way to banish a Dark because he doesn't have any more Dark monsters in his graveyard. Because he uses Plague Spreader Zombie to make the Bryonac, so he doesn't have any more Dark monsters. So now he has to worry if the back row is anything, but last turn I didn't activate Mirror Force or any sort of defensive back row to kill the Dark Arm. So he's pretty much safe into attacking the Sirocco. So he attacks the Sirocco, I take 800 damage. So I'm basically on top deck mode. He looks at my graveyard again, checking how many Darks I have. And I have, I don't know how much I have. I think I have 2 or 3. So I set another monster hoping to do something. I have Foolish Burial, so that was the bluff set that I had. I was looking through my deck to see if I want to foolish anything, and I just scoop. Even if I drew the Gale, I also play Gale in this deck. I would have been able to half the Dark Arm, but Gale can't run over a Dark Arm because half of 28 is 1400. Alright, so game 2 is starting now. I start off with 6 cards. It's always nice to draw that extra card. And I do a T set. I believe I have Dust Shoot here, and I have a set, Raikou set. So here, I don't know what you guys would choose, but I chose to choose the Gores because there was no way for me to deal with Gores as a monster. Gores is pretty beefy as a 2700 attack monster. In order for Vayu to deal with Gores, I have to go all the way up to Silverwind, which is banishing the Armor Master. And since this deck doesn't play Kalut, it's hard for me to deal with Gores, which is why I chose the Gores. Dark Arm was going to be a problem later on in the game, I'm pretty sure. So I was going to choose a Pyramid Turtle, but Gores was more of a problem for me. I took out the Gores. Now I don't have to fear Gores when I decide to do my pushes with Vayu. It is one of the few cards that are defensive in the hand. And I also read that he had no trap cards, so having no real trap cards means that if I do open up the the proactive hand that I shunned earlier on in game one, I can actually win because I have knowledge of his deck or his hand. Okay, so I think he decides to summon the Pyramid Turtle to attack into the Raikou, and like me, to protect his back row, but he really doesn't have any back row to protect that's valuable. So he summons the Pyramid Turtle. I mill. What did I mill? I'm trying to remember what I mill. I don't remember what I milled. I mill a Sirocco, which is good. I lose 2 trap cards, which is bad, but that's fine. Vayu is fine losing trap cards. So he summons Book of Life to banish the Sirocco. So he wastes it. So this Raikou effectively loses, makes him waste a Book of Life and a Pyramid Turtle. I mean, yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I set another card. I think I set another Raikou. Yeah, I set another Raikou. So he summons another floater. So he top decks into a tomato because I didn't see it last turn. And now he does the attack order where he wants to preserve his Pyramid Turtle. So he attacks with the turtle first, and then that forced me to kill the tomato. I mill only traps and spells. Unfortunate. But what are you gonna do? So now I have to deal with the turtle somehow. So I want him to think it's another Raikou. Alright, summons the Sangan here. So the card I set, now I remember, it was a Dark Refer. Dark Refer has a really beefy defense, so that's why I set him. Um, I don't know why I set the Greffer. I think I drew 2 Greffers in my opening hand, so I decided to just lose one of the Greffers. I wanted him to commit to a single play, because if he does summon Plague Spreader Zombie and make a Revive King Hadez, he loses a Plague Spreader Zombie, but he also loses Pyramid Turtle, which is the obstacle that I had to deal with. I don't want him to go into Ill Blood or Zombie Master or even Goblin Zombie. So okay, so I drew a Royal Oppression for the turn, and I was like, oh awesome, I can set this. But then I forgot, then I realized that he had a MST face down. So I think I set like a bluff card so that I can waste his MST. Because eventually he's going to want to Synchro Summon. So what I did was I swung into the Sangan to make him search for the Tuner monster in this turn. And then that incentivizes him to want to MST the back row so he doesn't lose the Synchro monster. So, but little does he realize that I set a bluff card for him to waste the MST on it. And I'll just deal with the Synchro somehow else. That was my big brain play there. I think I summoned Card Trooper though. So the reason why I dumped a Sirocco is because I have less Siroccos in my deck. And I was gonna summon Card Trooper to attack over the Sangan. Yeah, because Sangan or Card Trooper is gonna most likely mill a Vayu. That's the play that I decided to go for. Because I had more Vayus in my deck than Siroccos. So I can randomly mill it. So I summon Card Trooper here and then I mill 3. And lo and behold, probability wins out. I mill a Vayu, so now my Sirocco dump was justified. And then I attack over the Sangan here, he takes 900. And I have trouble with the calculators. And he searches for a Diva. So the tuner monster was, so this is exactly how I panned it out. He searches for the synchro play, and then I set a bluff card for him to MST. And unfortunately, the bluff card I had to set was Heavy Storm. So he has his Diva in his hand, and I set the bluff Heavy Storm, even though I have the Oppression. I don't want to set 2 in this scenario in case he has Heavy Storm, or he top decks a Heavy Storm, or he just gets lucky and he hits the Oppression instead. So instead I set only the Heavy Storm. There is an opportunity cost by setting the Heavy Storm and not the Oppression. In the event he decides not to MST, is that I had to deal with a big synchro monster. Okay, so he does his MST play because I know he has it. That's the nice thing about Dust Shoot, is that I could do this play. So he's contemplating. I'm pretty sure he MSTs here if I remember correctly. Okay, so he activates MST like I anticipated. He summons the Diva, as I anticipated. He wanted to... Oh, it looks like he drew... Oh yeah, so unfortunately for him, even though after he searched for the Sangan, he searches for he drew his second Diva. He only plays 2 Diva in his deck, and he doesn't play Spine Gilman. So I think he doesn't like Spine Gilman in the deck, which I can agree with sometimes. Sometimes it sucks drawing the Spine Gilman, because drawing the Spine Gilman is like... you have a 1700 monster, but it doesn't really synchro with anybody. And he goes Gaia the Force of the Earth, so I don't know why he decides to go for Gaia the Force of the Earth or why he even plays it. But I guess I can see why he plays it. It does beat over Stardust, but I feel like Zombies doesn't really need another level 6 synchro because they have so many. They have Revive King Hades, they have Bryanak, um, and they have Goyo Guardian. So here I would have definitely made the Goyo Guardian, but I think he wanted to preserve it for some reason. Gaia the Force of the Earth was a problem still for me, even though I wouldn't recommend playing it. Being a 2600 monster means that I have to go up to the Silver Wind again to run it over. So that was a problem for me. So he attacks over the Dark Refer. I start off my turn. I mill 3, hoping to mill something. Instead of committing into a arm wing play, I just shifted my card trooper to defense mode, and then I set my royal oppression so I could lock out any of his special summons that go in the future. So that goes with my plan here. So at this point, I am kind of praying to draw into a Dark Arm Dragon. So I put the card trooper to defense mode so I don't lose life points, and hopefully card trooper digs me deeper into the deck so that I could get the Dark Arm Dragon. And hoping that it wasn't in the bottom, like, what, 10 cards on my deck, 15 cards on my deck, because I did build a lot in this game. So I shift this card trooper defense mode and I set a Royal Oppression set, and I know he doesn't have MST anymore, and so he has to top deck Heavy Storm to deal with the Oppression. The bad thing about Oppression though, the bad thing about Oppression is if I activate it, I lock myself into special summoning Dark Arm, so I had no real plan in order to deal with the Gaia, the Force of the Earth. It just so happens that I luck sacked my way out of this. I think he decides to go with the Foolish Burial here to dump the Mizuki. And then he banishes Mizuki to force my oppression. And then I flip the oppression to stop the Mizuki. So in hindsight, I think what I should have done, I looked at my hand. I had a Foolish Burial in my hand. What I should have done was I should have Foolish Burial, Plague Spreader Zombie, top deck for Plague, and then make a Catastor, run over the Force of the Earth, and then set the oppression here. But now, and then this way I deal with the guy that forced the earth, and anytime he tries to special summon, he has I have the oppression to stop the special summon. Yeah, and that's what I should have done. So he sets the Raikou and he passes. Fortunately enough for me, it was a Raikou that he has, so that Raikou can actually destroy the oppression here for me, so that I could bring out Dark Arm. So I count my graveyard. I think I had like 4 darks. I had a Necrogardna, a Sirocco, and a Vayu. No, I had 5 darks actually. So if hypothetically I could banish a Sirocco and an Armwing, and that would put me to 3 darks. Yeah, it will put me to 3 darks. So I use the Vayu ability to bring out the Armwing. And then I declare an attack on the Raikou, hoping it's a Raikou. And then it was a Raikou. He destroys a Royal Oppression, so now I can freely bring out my Dark Arm if I do draw it to it. And fanning out, it looks like I did top deck into a Dark Arm. Lucky for me. All the situations lined up. He destroys the Royal Oppression. My Dark Arm can be live after I Necrogardner. So I Foolish Burial a Vayu, I believe. No, Plague. Okay, never mind. So I Foolish Vayu Plague Spreader Zombie. I top decked into... Oh yeah, I top decked into a Dark End. Okay, now I remember. So I did this play late. I did this play on a later turn to make the Dark End, when I could have done it with Catastor. Is my my problem. So I put Dark End in defense mode. I send the Force of the Earth to the grave, and then I pass with 500 less defense. So it's a 1600 defense monster. Honestly, I think I should have put the Dark into attack mode. I don't know why I put it in defense mode. There's no reason to do that. Because now he can run it over with any small level 4 monster. He top decks Dark Arm. No, he had Dark Arm, sorry. I sided with the shoot. He destroys it and he attacks 28 direct. Yeah, top turn. I draw another Dark Monster, I think. I drew a Vayu. So I set the Vayu here because I wanted him to use the Dark Arm ability to destroy the Vayu. I don't think I'd used up all my Raikos, so I wanted him to be afraid of attacking the set. So I make him use the Dark Arm ability. So he doesn't get punished by a Raiko, even though it wasn't a Raiko. Okay, he uses Mystic Tomato, kills my Vayu. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I had 6 darks. Okay, so with 6 darks in my graveyard, I can Necro Gardener, go to 5, and then use Vayu to take out 2 more darks, so that'll put me to 3. So yeah, this was pretty lined up for me. He summons Diva, and he activates Lure. He whiffs, and he sends all the remaining cards in his hand to the graveyard. Diva didn't have any more targets. He attacks with 200. I take the damage, and then he attacks with Dark Arm. I Necro Gardener. Okay. And then I draw for turn. It didn't matter because I had a Dark Arm. I activate Vayu's ability to go into Armor Master. Now it's time to shine. I make the Armor Master. I now have 3 darks in the graveyard. I spell some Dark Arm. I call priority in effect to destroy the Dark Arm in case it's bottomless. This is a scenario where common Dark Arm beats Secret Rare Dark Arm. Okay, Dark Arm dies. And now I'm like, alright, cool. Now I'm kind of worried about the set being like a back row, that, like a Mirror Force. So I use Dark Arm ability again. And then it destroys the back row. He chains Book of Moon. So it was a defensive back row. He sets the Dark Arm. I have not normal summoned, so I normal summon a Griffer that I've been holding on since turn 1. And then I ditch the Vayu in my hand. I just love drawing Vayus. And then I declare my attack. There's no reason to do the attack order differently. That's 4,000. Oh, I think I calculate damage to see if I can actually game. I was short 200 life points. Because Greffer and the Armor Master into the Diva was 4,000, and he had 2,500 life points left, so I couldn't make another Armor Master because I'll hit Sirocco. Okay, so we'll go to game 3. Pretty good game. It's good because it was a lot of unpredictability in it. Playing Vayu means that you have to think about what's left in your deck and what are your outs constantly. Okay, game 3 starts now. He decides to go first, as most Edison players do. He probably has a dust sheet. Let's see if I remember here. So he decides to pass his turn without doing anything, so this kind of leads me to believe he has a Tragodia or Gores. I summon Armageddon Knight. I dump the Vayu, because I have a Sirocco in my hand. Here I think I bravely attack with the Armageddon Knight. I don't think I had a way to deal with the Armageddon Knight. Oh, I did. I had a back row. I had a deep prison. So I set the deep prison here, hoping he doesn't draw the MST. And he doesn't have Tragodia and he doesn't have Gores, so that's kind of cool. I'm hoping my deep prison was going to protect the Armageddon Knight. He summons the Zombie Master with no targets. It would have been bad for me in this situation if he had summoned Mystic Tomato and crashed the Tomato into the Armageddon Knight, but I had to play my deck. So I summon the Armageddon Knight anyways. He passes with no back row. Okay, so I summon Sirocco and attack. Pretty much just trading blows here. X200, I set another back row. I believe he heavy storms this one. It was a bottomless set. I didn't want to set another bottomless because he could heavy storm me theoretically. Okay, he heavy storms me like I thought he would. And he sets back row with no monsters. Okay, so at this point I'm like, okay, he's monster starved. He either has a lot of boss monsters in hand, like Dark Arm Dragon. I can't think of another boss monster he might have. Oh, Illblood. I guess that's a boss monster. So, yeah. So he sets back row. I attack with Sirocco. He takes 2,000. So I start doing damage to him, which is good. I do a T set. I believe it was a set hamster and a set bottomless. He activates Call the Haunted. I asked if Zombie Master is his only monster, because I did have a bottomless. And I allow him to summon it without doing anything. Trips for Caius, and he targets the face down monster. I chain bottomless. Okay, I lose my hamster, he loses his Kais. And the cool thing about this interaction is that since he tribute summon a monster, the Call of Haunted stays, so that makes it so that I don't have to worry about gores. So in the event that I do draw like really good in being able to push the remaining damage, I could game him here. But that requires me to have a Dark Gruffer and a Vayu in hand, I think. So he sets a back row to try to, like, you know, make me fear the push. I summon the Armageddon Knight. I send Sirocco. Here, I think I should have sent the Vayu in hindsight. The Vayu allows me to push if I lose my Sirocco to a Mirror Force. But I think I also contemplated whether it could have been a D prison, because a D prison can actually punish me, because if I send the Vayu and I attack with the Sirocco, I can't make any more synchro plays from my graveyard because I don't have any more material. So I think I went for the Sirocco plays just in case. I choose to send the Sirocco instead. So I set back row. I think it's another bottomless. No, it can't be another bottomless because I just used two. I think it was oppression. I think I set oppression. So he sets another back row. He does another T, or he does a T set. Don't mind my my sponsor here. So 1,000 life points. I'm pretty confident. I can pretty much just attack with the Sirocco and then try to attack directly with the Armageddon Knight. Only thing I was probably worried about is probably a defensive Book of Moon, because a defensive Book of Moon means he survives. So I attack his monster. It's a Pyramid Turtle. So that was a good Pyramid Turtle for him. Funny enough, he puts the monster in attack mode. I think he wanted me to attack the Pyramid Turtle. And I did because okay, so now I remember. I had an oppression set. So if I attack him and deal 200 damage, he only has 800 life points. So my oppression is only going to be working for me and not for him. So I felt pretty comfortable about this one. I decided to set a Raikou in case he has something I can't deal with. Okay, so here he has to make a synchro play to deal with my board, because Raigeki's not a board, it's not a card in the game. So he summons the Deep Sea Diva. I allow him to bring out the second Deep Sea Diva. My issue with this is that he put the Deep Sea Diva in attack mode when it should have been in defense mode, and he should synchro with the one in attack mode, just in case I book a moon. Okay, so he synchro summons into a Brionac. I oppression. Then he loses his monster, and now the oppression only works for me now because he only has 800 life points. And then he scoops. So he shows me his set. He does have a return set and a bottomless set. I wasn't sure when he had the bottomless. Oh yeah, I remember. He had the bottomless when I already had the Sirocco and the Armageddon Knight. So the bottomless was useless in this scenario. I guess what he could have done when I oppression is chain the return, but I had 1600 life points. The return would only deal with the Sirocco attack, but then he would lose the monster anyways, so there was really no way to deal with the oppression here. Oh yeah, so that was the game between Vayu and Diva Zombies. I hope you guys enjoyed my commentary. I was able to go into a lot of the thought processes that I had in depth, and how to set up your plays better so that you could effectively win with Vayu. Going forward, I would probably play Icarus Attack in the main deck. I think Icarus Attack's kind of good in if I play the Vayu, but the only bad side is that it relies on me drawing a Sirocco or a Vayu in my hand. But I don't mind that because Icarus Attack at least allows me to deal with big monsters like Gores or Dark Arm. And in this game, I was just struggling so hard just to figure out a way to deal with Dark Arm, even Gaia the Force of the Earth too. So maybe I'll consider playing even a Kalute or a hybrid version. Maybe the hybrid version is just superior in every single way, because Black Whirlwind's a good card. So maybe that's an idea that I'll have in the future. Peace out, guys.